know there were record-breaking border crossings during the Biden administration. But since June, migrant encounters between ports of entry have decreased by 55% in every month since July. Those encounters have been below 60,000. The last time those numbers were that low was when President-elect Trump was in office. But you think more needs to be done?
Well, first of all, Martha, it's great to be with you. Second of all, the reason those numbers were decreasing since June is because Joe Biden was trying to win re-election. Obviously, he didn't make it to the election. Kamala Harris then tried to win the office. She couldn't get it done. But the entire time we knew that this border crisis was man-made and politically made by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So they were the ones that tried to tweak those dials, which you can do. They were defeated. And so now what President Trump is going to do, he's going to secure our border. He's going to shut down illegal immigration. And the American people are going to see those numbers go down even more. Second,
I think Byron Donald is telling the truth right there, that the Democrat Joe Biden and Kamala Harris purposely made by design. They opened the border crossings. They let millions of immigrants into America so they would vote Democrat and they would win the next election. But obviously that backfired and people were not happy about that one at all. And so they don't want illegals coming by millions into the country, and they voted ultimately for change. They voted Donald Trump, and everybody can see that.
Secondly, a lot of what the Biden administration has been done is using the CBP1 app for illegal immigrants to basically get an appointment time for when they can cross our southern border. The American people have soundly rejected that. And so the appointees that have been made by President Trump to secure our nation on day one are going to get this under control, and then members of Congress working with Donald Trump are going to make sure that we secure our country's borders, both southern and northern, once and for all.
Well, let's talk about how he's going to do it. He says he's going to declare a national emergency and use military assets to execute his mass deportation plan. What does that look like?
Well, first and foremost, we've been very clear throughout the entire campaign that the first order of business is going to be repatriating these criminal illegal aliens, almost to the tune of 1 million of them, back to their home countries. That is step one. Step two, we already talked about making sure that our borders, whether it's at
but how do you do that? I want some detail there.
Or in the illegal points that they're not allowed to come through. Say that again. I'm sorry.
Give me.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very difficult to do, honestly, because the Biden administration let millions and millions of people into the country. There are millions and millions illegal immigrants into America right now, into sanctuary cities and everywhere else. And if Donald Trump wants actually mass deport everybody, he only has 4 years to do so. And so that means you're going to have to deport millions of people every year if he wants to accomplish that. So he would need a ton of money, a ton of agents to go into these sanctuary cities and actually put these people in custody and send them back to where they came from. And that's probably going to cost a lot of money. We will see.
Some detail there. How are they going to do this? What's the military going to do?
Well, first of all, when you're talking about military assets being used, that's only in an extreme last resort. There are more than 6,000 officers who have dedicated their lives to having to remove illegal aliens from our country. People who already have a legal deportation order, but it hasn't been effectuated by Joe Biden. What Donald Trump is going to do, we're going to repatriate those people using those personnel at ICE and other parts of the Department of Homeland Security to remove them. I think if you're going to use military assets, that's in the last resort, but that's only for logistical purposes, Martha. And so I think that what we have to be very careful of is not to try to throw out this idea that you're going to have troops in the United States going door to door. That is not going to happen.
A recent analysis found it would cost about $315 billion and take at least 10 years to deport everyone in the U.S. without legal status. You often talk about the need to cut government spending. So how is this mass deportation going to be paid for?
Well, that's a lot of time and a lot of money, if you ask me, and I'm not sure if that's possible at all. But they probably won't be able to deport everybody in 4 years. Honestly, they can just start and deport as many people as they can. We will see what happens.
Martha, I will tell you, what we already know is that the cost of massive illegal immigration to the federal government, to state governments, and to local governments is more than $150 billion per year. So if you're going to say that it costs us $300 billion over a decade to repatriate illegal aliens to their home country versus the American taxpayer having to pay more than $1 trillion over the same decade to keep those illegal aliens in the United States, that is a savings to the American people. And so it is important that, yes, we are going to have to use resources to repatriate these people back to their countries where they belong, but it pales in comparison to the costs of massive illegal immigration in the United States, not just with trying to subsidize people living here, but it's also the crime that has occurred. You could bring up Rachel Nungari with the tragedy that happened to her, Lake and Riley, the tragedy that's happened to her, not to mention the displacement of the American people in their own cities when it comes to resources by rampant illegal immigration. As far as I'm concerned, this is a savings for the American people.
Congressman, quickly, if you will, how many undocumented immigrants do you expect President Trump to deport during his 4 years? There are 11 million, 13 million. Oh. How many?
Listen, as far as I'm concerned, stopping the flow is number one. And then at a minimum, I would say, just speaking with you anecdotally, it's at a minimum going to be 2 million, but it's going to be more because the amount of people.
At the minimum, 2 million deportation every year, he says. But it says it's also going to be more. I'm very curious on how they are going to accomplish that, honestly. We will see if that's possible or not.
People who already have a deportation order, people who are in our country who have committed crimes, people who have already been convicted of murder, they need to go and go immediately. And then when you have an active deportation process, we do know that there are aliens who are going to want to go back to their home country. They're not going to want to be caught up in the process of dealing with ICE, because if you're deported through that process, then you will actually be barred from returning to the United States for a period of 10 years.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you there.
Is that one, when you turn off, Martha, hold on, Martha, real quick. When you turn off the spigots of opening our borders, when you turn off the spigots of all this aid going to illegal aliens in the United States, and then you have a president of the United States and a government who is serious about repatriating people back to their home country, you will see that the enticement of coming to America is not going to be what it was under Joe Biden.
Okay, thanks.
Well, we'll see about that one. I'm actually curious if that's actually possible. The military is going door to door. Nothing's gonna happen, Donald said. Well, Representative Byron Donalds, a prominent ally of Donald Trump, downplayed the prospect of the military having a major role in what the president-elect has previewed as a massive deportation effort once he takes office. This is making headlines everywhere about the mass deportation plan of Tom Homan, the new Trump border czar of Donald Trump, and his massive deportation effort. We will see exactly what happens. Speaking with This Week co-anchor Martha Raddatz, Donald said that local and federal law enforcement like US Immigration and Custom Enforcement will take the lead on deportations, which he said would focus on immigrants convicted of crimes. Okay, we will see. I think, honestly, Tom Homan, the border czar, said multiple times that he was gonna be focusing on national security threats and public safety threats. But I think he wants to deport everybody, honestly. If he goes into these sanctuary cities for national security threats, he's probably gonna find other people with the threat as well. And he's probably gonna put in custody everybody, honestly, and send them back. We will see. So it's gonna need a ton of money and a ton of agent, ICE agent, and probably even the military, as Trump said, to round up all of these people and put them back to the country where they came from. We will see and report it all right there on this channel. Thanks for watching and staying with me. I really appreciate you being here as always. Thanks for watching. Click right there watch the next video, and I will see you there. Bye bye.